Okay. Commissioner Tedesco,
Here.
Commissioner Clark,
Here.
Commissioner Zajago,
Here.
and Acting Chair Solka.
Here, let the record show that Joseph Coviello will sit for Chairman Hammersley, and that Caleb Cole will sit for Christine Volpe. Would you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please stand for a moment of silent reflection, please, for our military that are standing in harm's way, and also for our first responders, especially those that are in Canada trying to fight these wildfires that we're being impacted with now. Thank you. Thank you. I have a motion for the minutes for the May 16th meeting, please.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion, changes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting approved. Item 7 on the agenda, the commissioner discussion. I think we have some input here.
Yep. So everyone should have gotten a copy of the latest chapter of the regulations, Section 8. And so that chapter has to do with procedures and process. And so I think you'll see that that has some very nice visual flow charts to describe what the process is, along with words what it is. So I think, you know, our mantra has been ease of use and transparency. And so I think that section, I think both the public and new commissioners will find it very helpful. I think I'll also call everybody's attention to the section on special permit criteria. So as we all know, you just can't reject something for a special permit just because. You have to have a reason. And so all that's spelled out very, very nicely. So I think you'll like that session. Now, from progress, we're almost done with this. And so we only have one more subcommittee meeting, hopefully next week. I think we're trying to get a schedule for next week for that. And then we'll be done. And we'll forward to the commissioners that. And so next steps, what we discussed was we're hoping for the July meeting, because we have one meeting in July, to perhaps have, for lack of a better word, a demo, have Glen and Plan Metrics kind of come in, and for commission members only, for public obviously, but for commission members, kind of see it all put together and all that, and commissioners can weigh in and that kind of thing. After that, we could talk about, do we want a public information session on that, or do we think what we just did takes care of it? With a vote, by law, we must vote in a public hearing by nature to have public input and all that kind of thing. So kind of targeting, if you will, probably the second meeting in September for that. That'll give plenty of time if we want another, public information session as well as that. And so I think that gives commissioners plenty of time to weigh in on it. It also gives plenty of time for the public to weigh in and all that kind of thing. And so, right now, that's kind of the time frame for next steps for this thing. But I think when it's all put together, I think the ease of use, all commissioners will like it. And I should say, if Joe brought it up too, at the meeting, you'll note in the packets you have, or in the margins, suggestions. And those parking lot items we could have put aside. We talked to Dave about that, where future commissioners can talk about, well, do you want to make this change to the regulations? Because we didn't make substantial changes to things. This is, ease of use and that kind of thing. And again, the work that's been done by Dave, as well as Planometrics and Alex and Lou Pearl and all staff presenting it to us has been invaluable for that. So please take a look at the latest offering, and that's kind of the targeted time frame that I think will be positive and give everybody time to weigh, plenty of time to weigh in on all this kind of thing. Yep.
I just have maybe a suggestion for if you're having another meeting, is possibly take a few people that don't regularly use the document at all ever, and maybe give them an assignment as though they were trying to apply for something and see how easily they could find something, just to see before.
Where would you go?
Exactly, where
Great.
just like a few random
I like that.
people.
Sure.
Okay.
If you wanted to go
Like
get a building permit, how would you do it?
Exactly.
That's the usability.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Sure. Sure, that's cool.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll have a staff member, one of my staff members, I'll assign that task, and I'll have, not Dave, because his staff members
They,
know what they're doing.
they know what they're doing.
Yeah, we'll have another department staff member. We'll ask for volunteers to see if they'll take on that project.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Just see if
Yeah.
we get any feedback.
I
Yeah.
think,
Great
I
idea.
think that's good. Yeah, because his people are too smart.
They're too
so.
smart.
They know what they're doing. That's right. That's right. Perfect, great. Thanks, Alex.
Great suggestion.
Great, yeah, excellent, very good. Test drive it.
Okay, any more commission reports at all? Guess not. Thank you. We'll move on to item 8, the public hearing, but before we do that, I'd like to just read to you a brief, sort of the meeting rules and guidelines so you understand what's going on for this evening. Good evening and welcome. Tonight's meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Robert Salka, Vice Chairman of the Commission, and I'd like to take a few moments to explain the meeting format. Aside from administrative items, tonight's meeting is comprised of 2 parts, the public hearing and the business meeting. During the public hearing, the applicant will present the applications to us in detail, which will allow the commission members and the public the opportunity to better understand what is being proposed. The commission members may ask questions during the presentation if needed. Then we will ask members of the public who will support or oppose the application to speak. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the chair. Once recognized, come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Please address all comments directly to the chair and not the applicant or other members of the public. Be advised, this is your opportunity to ask questions and make comments on the application, because once the public hearing is closed, no additional testimony from the public or the applicant will be permitted. It is important to maintain order and decorum at all times during the meeting. After everyone has had a full opportunity to speak, all questions have been answered, and all information has been received, we will decide whether it is appropriate to close the hearing. We will not consider voting on the application until the business meeting. During the business meeting, we will deliberate on the applications submitted to the commission and decide how to act on them. The commission may approve the application as submitted, approve it with stipulations, conditions, or modifications, table action for a future meeting, or, in some cases, deny the application. 4 affirmative votes of the commission are generally required to approve any application. If you have to leave the meeting before a decision is rendered, you may call the planning department tomorrow afternoon and get the results from tonight's meeting, and you can ask to speak to Dave LaValle over there to my left. With that said, we'll open the public hearing. Item A on the public hearing basically is waiting a traffic study, and it's really not ready to be heard this evening. So we will move on to item B on the public hearing. Jessica Sadowski, special permit application for a 16 by 30 attached carport. Property located at 51 Lavender Lane, Zone R80, SPU number 679. Will the applicant or his representative please touch the podium? State their name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Jessica Zadrozny, business address of 68A South Canal Street in Plainville. I am here on behalf of my parents, the owners of 51 Lavender Lane, and what they're proposing is a 16 by 30-foot carport, which is attached to the house. I don't know if what we submitted, do we have the pictures of that?
They should have it before, or
They
they can
have
call
it,
them
but it
up.
won't be up here.
Yeah.
That's okay. So we sent the rendering of what it would look like, but it's attached to the house. It's basically a shed roof, so open under, and it's a place to park your car. And I just have some numbers. So that carport puts them over the allowed 1,092 square feet for the parking of private vehicles, for garage spaces and accessory structures. The garage, as they would have it, is 930 square feet. That's the garage that's attached. The carport is 480 square feet, so they're asking for an additional 318 square feet. I also have some numbers for the coverage of the lot, the overall coverage that the house, the garage, the proposed carport, and the proposed driveway would be. The house, the first floor square footage, and the garage, like I said, the carport and the driveway would be a total of 5,582 square feet, and their lot area is 44,341 square feet, and the 5,582 is just under 12.6% of the total lot area. So it's under that 15% allowed of coverage. That's it for the numbers.
Okay, anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Questions of the applicant?
Hi. Is the house built yet?
It's not built yet.
So why not just build another garage? You have a two-car garage, why not just build a three-car garage? Why are you having a carport?
Because that's the style they like. They'd rather have a carport as opposed to three in the house.
Okay. So a carport falls under us, Dave?
Yes, through the chair, the proposed garage without the carport is slightly oversized. There's some storage behind it. So even if they enclosed it, they'd still need the special permit because they'd be above the limit. And yes, the carport is considered parking space.
So it's considered a structure?
Yeah,
which is
well,
why
it's a
it's us
structure and a parking space if it's greater than 14 by 26.
So that's why it's with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you don't care for that regulation, we are changing our regulations, if you've heard. so.
I've heard about that. All right, that's all I have.
Any other questions of the applicant? Anyone here speaking in favor of this application? Thank you. Anyone here speaking in favor of this application? Anyone opposing this application? Going once, going twice. Okay. Is there any reason to keep this application open? Okay. Okay. This application is closed. Item C on the agenda, Patrick Ciarella? Ciarella? Special permit application for a 24 by 40 detached garage, property located at 277 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike, Zone R80, SPU number 680. Will the applicant or his representative please state their name and address for the record, please?
Patrick Salela, 2775.
Could you speak into the mic?
Patrick Salela, 2775 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike. And I'm just submitting application for a special permit to add a garage on my land. It's going to be 24 by 40. It's approximately over 30 feet off of the property line, and it will be 24 by 40, if I already said that. I'm on 5 acres, and it's towards the rear of the lot, which is not visible from the road or any surrounding streets, kind of in the middle of nowhere. That's it as far as I got.
Do you have any, do we have the pictures of it here?
They should be uploaded.
Yeah, rendering.
Okay, got it. Okay. Anything else?
Just a basic garage, one garage door on the front, one 3.0 door on the side, no windows. It'll be texture 111 stained to match the house. Pretty fairly simple, straightforward.
Okay. Do we have any questions of the applicant? Steve?
You mentioned it's not visible from the street?
No, it's closer, I'm on Meriden Ave up at the top, but it's actually closer to Farmingberry, but it's way tucked up off the woods
Okay.
of that. It's roughly 150 feet off of my house, about 200 feet off of the neighbor's house. We're 1,500 feet from the main road. It's
Okay.
Kind of
Pretty
just in the
remote.
middle of the woods.
Pretty remote.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there an existing garage on the home? I'm trying to,
No, it's just in the woods that are there.
all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Caleb?
Hang on.
I still got you for a
You
couple.
don't get away that easy.
The facades, the proposed facades
Oh,
of the new structure, is it gonna match the existing structures?
Yes, it will. So it's actually a log cabin, the house, stained like dark. The lower 4 feet of it will be stamped concrete exterior to replicate stone. And then the upper half will be texture 111 stained to match the house with black shingles.
So the T111 doesn't look like a log cabin?
Well, it will be wood to, match the same. I was possibly thinking of buying the veneer that matches the log cabin, but it's like astronomical in pricing.
Okay.
I could also do like a board and batten, but I was trying to keep the cost realistic, and that was also.
It is one of the things that we look for, is
Okay.
to try to keep that similarity.
Yeah, it will be stained identical to match the house.
And then so you're also extending the driveway?
No, there's actually, my driveway ends, and there was already just gravel that went down to there.
Okay.
I think they parked something there before I bought the property. I've only been there like 3 years.
Okay.
So it's kind of like already a little path down there. I'm only putting like a boat and a trailer in there, so I'll probably be going in and out of it, a couple times a year. It won't be high-traffic area or anything.
So to that end, for the record, there's gonna be no business use
No,
of, no
no,
commercial,
no.
retail, anything
No.
like that? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, I appreciate your time.
Any other questions? Is there going to be any running water, electricity in this building?
No, literally just storage.
Okay. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, don't go. You thought you were going to get away, huh?
So procedurally, because I haven't seen this in my time, the referral letter to Wolcott in Cheshire, because it's near the border, is that why, Dave?
Yeah, if they're within a certain distance, they get notified.
Because my property has a sliver that runs all the way out to Meriden Waterbury Turnpike.
Yeah.
So I had to go 500 feet from there into Cheshire and into Wolcott.
I went on to Google Earth, I couldn't even find the road going
It's,
to your
it's
house.
honestly, I never knew it existed
No,
until I
right,
bought the house.
right. Okay,
It's very, yeah, it's,
it's out there.
the sliver of land that I own out to the road is not even where my driveway is. The driveway is owned by Mark. He lives 2 houses in front of me. So it's opposite of what you would think when you look at the drawing. My driveway is actually on the other side of the couple pieces of property that, it's very confusing. It's far back.
No, Actually, that helped explain things for me, thank you. Okay.
Okay, we have another question. Go ahead.
Brief. It seems like maintaining the character is a minimal concern because you are so far away from, so, anyway, my question was, and I think it's already implied from what you've said, is I see a potential for it to be 2 levels.
It's gonna be trusses on the second floor with
Okay.
no possibility of,
Okay.
it's just cheaper on my end to do the trusses, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, no, to keep costs down, that's, yeah, it's gotta be like that.
Okay, no other questions, so we can leave now? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here speaking in favor of this application? Anyone in favor? Anyone opposing this application? Any reason to keep this application open? Hearing none, this application is closed. Thank you very much. Okay, moving into the business meeting. Item A, LePage Homes, Inc., subdivision application resubmission for a 13-lot subdivision, property located at 347, 349, and 389 Marin Avenue. It's an R2025/I1 zone, S1337.1. Will the applicant or his representative please state their name and address for the record, please?
Good evening, members of the commission, staff. For the record, my name is Alan Bongiovanni. I'm a licensed land surveyor in the state of Connecticut, representing LePage Homes in this application that we started last week. I have with me Jim Cassidy, our professional engineer for the project, with Hal A.C. Pearson and Cassidy. Sorry. And we're just trying to load the drawings here.
Okay. This one?
We made I think, a pretty complete presentation at our last meeting. There were some outstanding issues that the commission wanted to think about. And we've got some, maybe some information to help the commission with those issues. The four main issues were this lot here, lot number one. Part of that lot was in the industrial zone. Our proposal is to make that a conservation easement, all that area that is in the industrial zone, so it could not be developed in the future, even though it's undersized, we would put a conservation easement on that. The other issue, or the second issue, was the back of the industrial land in this area to prohibit access future driveways in that area. A couple things we're doing. One, it's going to be fenced, and you'll see this area here. It's a planted buffer that we have shown on the plans, but we're also going to put a restriction on that property so that there'll be basically no access line. They won't be able to connect that property to the roadway in that area. The third item was the question on the open space. And Jim, do we have that drawing? This is our proposed open space at the top of the drawing.
We had it.
Free to plug your machine in like you did last time if you need to. Might be the projector though, not the machine, not the laptop.
So this is the open space area. Pine Street is to the left, and this is the extension of Pine Street that we're creating, and it wraps around the top of this piece of drawing, piece of property. The area in, okay, the area in the dark green represents about 6/10 of an acre, and that is what we consider the area of open space that's buffer. That's going to be vegetated. It will provide screening between the residential area, the roadway, and the industrial lot that's to the east that exists today. The light green area represents the portion of the open space that is water quality and stormwater treatment, stormwater detention in that area. So it's a multifaceted open space. We think it's consistent with how this commission has treated this type of open space on other applications in the past. Again, this subdivision requires a half an acre of open space. A question was brought up, was the drainage area suitable for open space? We think because we've got more than half an acre in just buffer area, that we think it is suitable. So we hope you take that into consideration. And then the fourth issue was the question of the sidewalks. No, so- there you go. That's good. Sure. So our proposal, we showed sidewalks per your regulations on both sides of the street throughout the development, starting at the existing Pine Street on the top of the drawing, coming into the site, and then going both sides of the cul-de-sac. Our proposal was to construct sidewalk, requesting of you to allow us to waive portion of the sidewalk so that we basically start at Lot 12 on the left side cul-de-sac, and then work our way all the way to the right side cul-de-sac, providing sidewalk along those lots. In staff comments, there was concern that if we put all the sidewalk in as required by the regulations, we'd have sidewalk that nobody would be around to maintain. And we feel very strongly about that. This is not a situation of the developer is trying to cheap out. It's your choice as to where the sidewalk goes. We don't believe it's all necessary, and we think a lot of it's going to be a problem for either a maintenance issue for the town or unfairly punishing the neighbors who don't even have access to the road to have to maintain that sidewalk. So that's why we're asking for a partial waiver of the sidewalk in that area. Again, that's a decision that the commission has to make. You do have in your regulations under, I believe it's section 6.02, the option of a fee in lieu of sidewalk, if you so deem that to be necessary. With that, we've responded to the town, the assistant town engineer, his comments. He was satisfied with all our responses, and all those would be made part of the drawing if this commission so approves it.
Okay. I guess we're still waiting for the water department.
So the water department has already submitted a letter saying that the
Right.
water is available. We will submit drawings to them with their technical revisions after this commission acts.
Okay. Okay, questions of the applicant? Peter?
Can you, Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
can you have a cursor or whatever? You're putting sidewalks from where to where and requesting to not have sidewalks from where to where?
Oops.
So we're requesting to start at Lot 12, go around the cul-de-sac, along the frontage of all these lots.
Yeah.
And come up in this area here.
You will have sidewalks
We
there?
will have sidewalk there.
Okay,
We're proposing not to put sidewalk on the west side of the proposed street because
Okay.
this is along two neighbors that don't access that.
yeah,
And then on the extension of Pine Street to our
Right.
new road, Penny Lane, we're proposing, or requesting that you waive that as well.
okay. So it's a partial on Penny Lane. You have it
Partial
on
on
one side,
Penny
not
Lane.
the other, which is not unusual, particularly on a cul-de-sac, to have it on one side versus the other. That's not an unusual request. And on the other one. Now, last time you were here, however, as well, you also wanted the street size, I thought, reduced too, did you not?
We did, and I thought that was kind of put to bed in that we're proposing a no access restriction on the existing industrial property.
Yeah.
Along with the proposed buffer plantings and fencing.
Yeah,
Along that area so that they won't have ability to access that in the future. And that's the only industrial land that faces this
Okay.
road.
understand, but it's just,
That's
that's
still-
another part of your
Correct.
thing,
You're
right?
right. You're
Okay,
correct.
cool. So I guess looking at Alex and/or Dave, the conservation easement for Lot 1, the reason that came up is the lot is split partially residential, partially industrial. So we brought up, hey, that could be, maybe not today, but, some years from now, that could be problematic to have a lot split. And so the applicant has proposed to have a conservation easement there. Does that solve that problem in your estimation?
Alex will let me speak first on that. It doesn't meet any of the bulk standards for an industrial lot. Like you said, things could change in the future.
Right.
But the easement would say no structures or what have you over it. You can word it any way you want. So
Okay.
I think it would satisfy it, would run with the deed. I don't have any particular issue.
So you're okay with that being a solution to have that? Because my fear is 10 years from now, someone else buys it, they say, hey, it's industrial.
Yeah, as
I
long
want the
as-
industrial part, not the residential part, and all of a sudden we have a problem.
Yeah, as long as the area of the easement doesn't encroach on buildable area of the lot, which I think Alan checked, there's a discount for it, but it
The-
should have enough.
Our 2025 portion of that lot exceeds the 22,500 square feet required.
Okay,
That portion of the lot that's in the industrial is about 8,200 square feet. It's very small.
yeah. But, you know, people have a way of.
And I understood, that's
You
why
hear me,
we
right?
proposed an
Yeah,
easement.
Cool, no, okay, so you're okay with that? All right, that's all I got, thank you.
Steve?
Mr. Chair. So I would be of the opinion that from the point of the industrial lot, from there to the end of the development, should be an industrial road because it'll be wider in lieu of this sidewalk waiver. You'll have more room for pedestrians to walk, and that's what I'm going to support.
So if I may, there's some different, and I'll speak for engineering this time, in terms of the width as opposed to the construction of it. The construction of it is thicker pavement, but if you want the width, you can ask for industrial width, and we'll see what they respond to on that.
Hi, Bill LePage, LePage Homes, 172 Clarendon Street. It makes absolutely no sense to build that industrial. Pine Street is over 1,000 feet long, so if you, from there to the end is a regular road, there's no sidewalks, there's no drainage, there's nothing on there. So why would you make an 800-foot section of road industrial? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Did you just hear what he said? That
The
he
width doesn't.
offered that it could be
but
industrial
the width
width.
doesn't, the width doesn't make any sense either. The
Because you're
existing,
gonna have
the
people walking
existing,
from that development down without sidewalks, and if we make
but
it
Pine Street
wider.
doesn't have, there's, from that first house to Marion Avenue is over 2,000 feet to the closest sidewalk. Why would you want to have a wider road for people to walk on there? It doesn't make any sense.
I think the nexus, Mr. Chairman, I think the nexus was, there's a park, as we spoke of last time, right off Union. So I think he just wants to make that connection as a safety factor built in, a wider road. He's not saying build it to the standards with an extra half inch of pavement. He's just saying work within the 50-foot right-of-way to make it.
Well,
a
that's
20.
it's still an awful astronomical cost, just so you have people walk on a road. It doesn't make any sense at all to make that wider for people to walk on it. And so I don't agree with that, and I'm opposed to that. So we'll see, obviously,
You've said-
you guys can vote on it, but it does not make any sense. There's going into a residential area, it doesn't make any sense to make that road wider than Pine Street or the existing road there. Why would you have a wider road and then a narrow road just to walk to that and then have to walk in a narrow road to the park? It doesn't make any
I
sense.
think, Mr. Chairman, maybe we could ask if there's going to be a walkable shoulder there that somehow gets maintained. I know in the winter it won't get maintained, but for most of the year, it would be a shoulder that you could walk on.
You're asking for the sidewalk waiver. I'm trying to find a happy medium here.
Well, the pavement's going to be much bigger cost than the sidewalks. Doesn't make any sense to make the road wider. You have, what's width of the road?
Right now, it's 24, and I think we'd have to go to 28 foot. We're
26,
better
I
off
think
putting
we said.
sidewalk in that section.
Yeah, I think you go to 26.
So 26 for, no, Bill, so he's talking about from this location just to here,
Yep.
And so what type of width are you asking for there?
26. 2 foot wider,
So you'd be happy with 2 foot wider?
that's fine.
Well, I don't agree with, but I would
We would accept it.
accept it, yeah. This seems like it would be, that you're just trying to cause extra costs.
It's not about cost, sir.
Impact.
You're asking for waivers. You know, we haven't even talked about the open space yet.
Well, the issue with
So,
the reason why we're asking for a waiver is you're gonna have that whole section of
I am-
sidewalk with nobody to
I
maintain it.
understand
So
what you're saying
we
and
could
what
put
you're
the
asking
sidewalk in,
for.
but the town was the one asking, saying that they did not want the sidewalks in the area that is gonna be a conservation area. That whole side of the road is a conservation area.
You're creating an entire development that wants to get to a park, potentially. We need to think about our citizens, not about your wallet.
Well, if that's what you guys wanna vote on, but I don't agree with that.
Okay, go ahead. Nick?
I echo Commissioner Walowski's concerns. What I'm looking at is how do we absolve potentially impacted citizens that are already living there, own property there, from having to maintain portions of sidewalk, et cetera, that would be impacted by a potential sidewalk. That's Alex and staff, if you could, is there a way to absolve them of having to maintain things that just happen to be developed in their area? Like,
So who owns the property west of the most south lot? I'm sorry, the most north, the most west lot?
This,
Right?
this area over here, that's a conservation easement
Who
for
owns that right now?
a homeowner in this location here that accesses it from a
So
different
there's no way
location.
to tie that sidewalk into that new house? There's no way to deed that property? There's no
No.
space at all?
No,
we already.
No way to, yeah.
it's a neighbor's property
yeah, the
that's a
neighbor's property
conservation.
At that point, yeah.
So the bottom line, they'd be responsible for
It'd
maintaining,
It'd be the town right away, but they'd be responsible behind their house, behind their backyard. Is it backyard?
Yes.
It'd be their backyard to go shovel or snow blow.
and is this an area that is affected by, the school pickup, sort of like, assignment of tasks, so to speak, of maintaining
So
the sidewalk?
the Board of Education could petition the town council to adopt additional school sidewalk walks. They haven't since the,
Well, I see,
Early
13 lots going in, they're gonna be kids.
but they have to be walkable to the nearest school. I don't know if that's walkable to Strong. It could be, I'm not positive.
I think it's too far. I think we looked at the early on.
And then the
These are
town
bus
was
routes.
asking the towns, I can't speak for the town council and the Board of Ed's policies, but they have not been wanting to accept more sidewalk responsibility. They've been trying to get rid of them, not bring on more.
Just looking through the ifs and thens.
Read it? Caleb? So based on that, where would a school bus stop be? Would that be at the end of Pine Street? So that we have to walk, the kids would have to walk from their houses, the 2,000 feet, which is not very far, because the last time I took a walk, it was more than 2,000 feet, believe it or not, to the end of that street. It's,
Yeah, the school buses come right to the houses nowadays.
Wouldn't they go right to the cul-de-sac?
There'll be 5 stops in the subdivision there.
my son still has to walk down the street.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not.
If you go down West Street, there's like every single house, there's the bus driver stop every.
No, they just know that you're driving behind them. All right, so it looks like they're gonna have to walk a ways without a sidewalk. And so I think that if we're looking to widen the street a little bit, I think it might ease some of our anxieties about that. And if we're looking for only 2 feet, is that the common thread here? Okay, so that kind of addresses my concern about the school bus stop. The second one is, you did mention that you're gonna put a fence at the end of the industrial space.
So there is fencing there now. We're gonna put a row of evergreens between the fence and the road
So it's existing on the industrial space?
on the industrial space now.
There's no gates in there.
Right, okay,
There's no access to get out as it is now.
okay.
I think that was for aesthetics too,
Yeah.
through the chair, because there's a lot of material storage back there.
So that's the industrial, that's their fence,
Yes.
not this, nothing to do with us?
Right.
Okay, my mistake. I thought I heard in the beginning that we had talked about the fence, but it's not even ours. So, is there any assurance for the arborvitaes that are gonna be, or whatever vegetation that we decide to do for the planting schedule? If they were to, and we've all seen it, because I've seen it in my backyard too. You put them in, and a year later, they're dead. How can we assure that that screening is gonna be able to be maintained?
We will, they will be planted, they will have a warranty on them, and the owner of the industrial lot's gonna have to make sure that it stays healthy.
So the industrial parcel is gonna own these trees?
Yes.
That's odd. What?
Dave's?
Well, it's buffering their use.
So you have Mr. Chairman, so you have an agreement with them to plant on their property?
Yes.
That's probably where you'd want the conservation
And to
easement,
maintain?
Yeah,
planting easement.
And to maintain?
Not at this point to maintain, no.
Yeah, I think you'd want that, because if it shows
Well,
on the
if
subdivision.
you
we
waive,
could-
if you waive the walks on that side, we can put the trees on the town property.
Yeah, I think they're always gonna be waived on that side. I don't think that was
So that's not a problem.
We can move
The trees
them.
can be on the other side, on the
Yeah,
roadside of the
that
fence,
makes more sense.
which would be better for us.
So that's a chain link fence, isn't it? It's
Yes.
separate. Yeah, so I think they, for aesthetics, they'd want that
Yeah.
on the development side. No, no.
Yeah, right.
Without the walk there, there'll be plenty of room to put pines right along the fence there.
Okay. Yeah, and the walk would make more sense on the other side if you carried up that far, because then that homeowner would have to maintain the walk, not the town, whereas they would have to on the other side, if it goes in front of that detention pond, which we didn't want.
So my last question, sidewalk, I promised the last one. Why wouldn't we want to start, as we're looking at this close-up, why wouldn't we want to start the sidewalk at Lot 1 and swing it around to the, your right? So go south, we'll go south, and then we'll go east. If you want to back out a little bit, we'll drive the street together. So that, my point being is that just so that we're able to pick up at least half the street on these other houses.
Yep.
Where the subdivision really realistically begins.
I don't have a problem with that. Being building, developments over all these years, when you have a sidewalk this ends, then people then forced to go on the road, so.
Right, so then it would,
What my
we would
thought is
pick
for my
up the
customers,
extra
I want-
space.
I want walks where their houses are. I want them to be able to walk to their neighbor's house. When you end a walk middle of the way, someone has to jump off the road, and that gives them more enticing to go down the road. So I would like to have the people walk, if I'm building for what I want. For all my customers have sidewalk, but I don't necessarily like this in the end. So if you have it at the end there, the people are gonna walk there, and then that's, they're only gonna walk to the houses. But if that's something that you guys want, I have no problem. I have no problem building walks on that one side, but they're not gonna be maintained. That's the issue with the sidewalk.
And I can appreciate that part, and I get it. That's why I would say loop it around the backside and then bring it up to Lot 12. Exactly.
Come around like this.
And then where it ends at
And there-
Lot 1, we would then have
2 foot more pavement.
2 foot more pavement.
So I would be in agreement with that. I just don't like when you make the people get off the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we certainly agree that. That's why we want to put sidewalks everywhere.
If you guys would put sidewalks down Pine Street, then it would make sense to.
Please talk into the mic, okay, so we can,
If you put sidewalks down Pine Street, then it would make sense to.
That's above our pay grade.
Someday, hopefully.
Yeah, all right, I get it.
okay, could we just summarize what we as a commission, or we've come to an agreement of what we are proposing, at least on the sidewalks and the road itself?
I
We'll
think-
we'll hit the retention pond.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chair, I think what I heard was, Caleb and Steve, we would have sidewalk, one side of the road, from Lot 1 looping around one side through the cul-de-sac, not from that Pine Street upward, right?
Right.
So we wouldn't have that.
It stops there.
Stop there. From
Yep.
there upward, we would have 26
Foot
feet.
wide road.
Wide road.
Okay,
And we would have conservation easement for Lot 1. And because of not having a
Sidewalk.
sidewalk, you'll have plantings on your side.
Yep.
On over there, whatever you decide, white pines, whatever you put.
I think we had our.
Whatever it is that you're putting in. I think that's what we heard. Is that
that's sort of what I heard, but I just
Right.
want to make sure that we're all on the same,
right?
And then the sidewalk also resumes to the north of the industrial area and the plantings, correct?
No.
No,
no.
no, because there's no houses there, and we'd have to maintain those. Town would have to maintain them, which the town doesn't want to do.
Were you at the last meeting?
Yeah. No, I listened to
We
the whole
had these
thing.
conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I am well aware of the conversations that we had, but making things convenient for the town versus how we're supporting the citizens is, for me, I prioritize the people who serve versus what's convenient for the town.
Because I think this really satisfies at least my requirements. And when we talk about the good question about the school bus,
Yeah.
I think that was an excellent question of how that's going to be handled. And I think with the sidewalks, as we discussed, and the extra 2 feet on the road, would satisfy that requirement.
I agree.
Okay. What's that?
The pond.
We won't forget the pond.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go on to the pond, to the retention pond or open space, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Can you just give us some input, or if we have questions on it?
Yeah, that's okay. So this, per your regulations, this size subdivision requires a half acre of open space. The area that we have there is almost 9/10 of an acre, so it's almost an acre in area. The dark green area, which is the level with the road, the upper level, that will be, there'll be some new trees planted in there and some of the street trees, but is currently vegetated with a pretty good stand of some pines in that, naturally vegetated, is 6/10 of an acre. So that in itself exceeds your requirements for open space for this size subdivision. The other area, the light green area, is 12,000 square feet, or almost 3/10 of an acre. That is part of the open space that is going to be used for stormwater renovation and stormwater detention. And that will all be planted with various plantings to help with nutrient uptake and things.
Okay? Questions on?
Satisfied?
I think you've already answered it, but how deep is the retention? And would there be a fence around that?
So the overall depth is 10 feet.
I'm sorry?
10 feet is the
10
overall
feet?
depth. Yeah, but the actual, so I mentioned, for the record, my name is Jim Cassidy, professional engineer here with the firm Halsey, Pearson and Cassidy. As I mentioned last time, the depth is deep because of the pipe coming in. It doesn't build up that much depth in water. The outlet structure is only about 3 feet above the bottom, the control structure out. So it really only builds up about 3 feet of water. But the most important part is, again, we did all kinds of soil testing out here. The soil has a very high permeability rate. It runs anywhere from 5 to 9 inches per hour. So you're not going to see standing water in this. The water is going to infiltrate into the ground. It's basically going to look like a lawn. It'll be maintained like a lawn, grass. The side slopes on this, we made them more gradual. Rather than having a 2-to-1, these are actually less than 3-to-1. So a little bit more gradual. So the only thing, the depth is because of the pipe coming in, but it doesn't build up that much water. You're not going to see water standing in it for any more than a 24-hour period. This is a requirement of the zoning regulations that we try to promote as much groundwater recharge. The basins is designed to take a 25-year storm event and infiltrate that entire 25-year event back into the ground.
Dave, is that similar to the construction on Frost Street, that retention pond with the drain in the middle? It's very close to, on the left-hand side going toward Mount Southington on Frost Street. But it seems that the town has to maintain that. I see them out there weed whacking.
It's not an uncommon design, I'll say that.
It's what?
It's not an uncommon design, to have it like that.
Okay.
I believe you have a detention basin right in the front parking lot here that basically looks like a lawn area.
Questions? Caleb?
Just to help me out here, the maintenance of that then would fall onto the town?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Nick?
What would retention look like in the event of a 100-year flood event, 500-year?
Well, we typically don't design for 500.
Well,
For-
I know
yeah.
you don't design, but it's my curiosity.
So so a couple things. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's going to build up about another foot in depth for a 100-year event. The town actually, the engineering department actually has to go through a routine where we did a model Whereas if the outlet structure was 100% plugged, what would happen? And even not letting any water out of it, it didn't overtop. I believe it got up to a depth of about 7 feet in that case. And again, the soil out there, it's a beautiful sugar sand, super high infiltration rate,
Very permeable.
very permeable.
Yeah,
You're not going to see standing water in this. I mean, typically, we design these, per, typical engineering standards, but at the end of the day, by the time the water comes in, it goes out.
my curiosity is more like, should we put a sign up in case it does retain? And not something so much for you, just to
Sure.
be thorough.
Steve?
My question's actually for Dave. Does the open space, including the stormwater management and the buffer, meet the specification, using those two items?
I think, Mr. Chairman, so there's some considerations. Each site is unique. I think what they have in their favor is that there is a park, a public park very close. So we have to look at it holistically. I do as a planner. There is area under conservation easement, under the other lots on the side there. Pretty significant portion of those lots. This portion of this area will still be usable. There is some slope there. But it's all what your idea of open space is. You're not gonna go fly a kite in there, but you can bring your dog to walk around, or, it is attractive to kids probably to play around a bit, so you could consider fencing, even though it's harder to maintain. But if it's not holding water, then the kids just go down and play in it. Perhaps not have a doghouse, type outlet on it, so the kids can't get in there, maybe a trash rack or something. I'm not sure what they have on there now. Yeah, like a catch basin top where you couldn't get in it.
It is graded on the top, so you can't get into it.
Okay, so, yeah, so I'm more comfortable with that. So the regs itself say that it shall be acceptable to the commission, so it leaves it kind of open. There aren't specific, points within here that they're either meeting or not meeting. You have to look at the entirety of the site.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
in terms of, from a guidance point of view, you're comfortable with, you would be comfortable with us moving forward on that?
Now that I see that there is, I guess we'd call it usable area around it without too much slope, right? Or is that a 4 foot?
That's all flat, yeah.
Okay, so that helps. That's kind of the point, is to have somewhere to go, get off the road for a bit, and then you still have the park. If the park wasn't right up the street, then I'd question it more,
But in conjunction with the wider road, we should be in good shape.
I think that's reasonable.
Thank you.
I think it's been answered, but who's going to maintain that?
That'd be town property.
It's town property, the town would maintain it, and you have no problem with that, Dave?
No, it's standard.
Okay. Okay, any other questions of the applicant? Caleb, one
Last
more.
Maybe not as much to the applicant, but to the commission or maybe to staff. When the road is installed, does the town stripe the road, or does the applicant stripe the road?
I think the applicant, that's the applicant's expense. The town probably usually does the same thing, putting up the signs.
Mm-hmm.
The applicant would pay the town to do that.
The reason why I ask this, and maybe it's to tie into our, where we're gonna widen the road a bit, if we make that a pedestrian way or a bike route kind of a thing, where we've seen in.
Stripe it as a shoulder.
Oh, stripe it as a shoulder.
Stripe it as a
Stripe
wide
as a
shoulder and pedestrian use, so we're kind of getting the best of both worlds.
That's fine.
I don't know.
I'm not, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if there's, I don't know if it's liability, but we'd have to check with the traffic authority on that, because then you're specifying that as an area. If someone were outside that area and there was an issue,
Okay.
I probably
It's a
would.
good thought, though.
Probably wouldn't. And that.
Good swing.
Good swing.
Okay, any other questions? You're done. Okay. I guess we're ready for a motion. If we can, the first, I think we should take a motion on the sidewalk waiver. Do we need it? We should have a motion on a separate, Dave?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the sidewalk waiver with sidewalks, as per discussion, sidewalks beginning on Lot 1 through the cul-de-sac on one side of the road, but not on Pine Street per request. Does that cover it?
Can you specify, because there was discussion regarding on Pine Street or part of Pine Street, so if you
I said from
specify.
lot, I thought it was from Lot
Yes.
1 downward, we would have,
It's from the industrial,
from industrial property down,
yeah.
from the sidewalk would not occur from the industrial property up to Pine Street. A sidewalk would occur from the industrial property down one side of the road through the,
On the
through
east
the
side.
cul-de-sac, through the cul-de-sac.
Put the road width in there.
No, you have to
No,
do.
this is strictly on the sidewalk
waiver
waiver.
first.
Right.
Sidewalk waiver first. So did that cover it, Alex?
So
No sidewalk from industrial upward on that map.
industrial west, no sidewalk. Is that
Correct,
But
correct.
South of the industrial,
Sidewalk one side of the road.
what sidewalk waiver?
On the
denied.
east side.
Correct.
Approved as to north, west of the,
Yeah.
west of the residential.
Yeah.
It's approved.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
That's my motion.
good. Second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any additional discussion?
Do we need to add the language for the widening of the road to?
Not to
No,
this
not this
sidewalk
one.
waiver
This
first.
is
You haven't
strictly
gotten-
sidewalk.
You haven't
Okay.
gotten, you have to do sidewalk waiver first, then motions for the development.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. Dave, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Walewski?
Yes.
Commissioner Coviello?
Yes.
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
Commissioner Santiago?
Yes.
Acting Chair Salka?
Yes. Okay, can I have a motion on the other part of the application?
Sure. Mr. Chair, so I'll make a motion to approve S number 1337.1 with the following stipulations: that conservation easement occur on Lot 1, that plantings occur along the edge of the industrial property, that the road from Lot 1 up through Pine Street be 26 feet in length,
With the width.
width in length, that's a good one. That 26 in width
Right. With appropriate taper.
With-
That's- yeah.
per town staff.
Yeah.
And pending water department approval.
Okay, good motion. Second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Dave, please call the roll.
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Walewski?
Yes.
Commissioner Coviello?
Yes.
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
Commissioner Santiago?
Yes.
And Chair Salka?
Yes. Motion approved. Okay, items B and C on the agenda, they've requested a 65-day extension. Do we need a motion on it, Dave?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion on item B, SPR 1867?
Mr. Chair, I move that we extend SPR 1867, 65 days per the applicant's request, thus tabling this item.
We have a motion? Second?
Second.
Steve, a second. Discussion? Hearing none, Dave, please call the roll.
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Walewski?
Yes.
Commissioner Coviello?
Yes.
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
And Santiago?
Yes.
And Acting Chair Salka?
Yes. Item C,
Move to table FF number 273.
second.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dave, please call the roll.
Oh, you can do a voice vote on that.
I'm sorry?
We can do just a all in
Okay.
favor on that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Item D on the agenda is not ready for
65-day on that one as well.
a 65-day on that one as well? Okay.
Move to table SPU number 678 and do the 65-day extension per applicant request.
Okay, second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Dave, do we need a roll call?
I'll do one. Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Walewski?
Yes.
Commissioner Coviello?
Yes.
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
Commissioner Santiago?
Yes.
And Acting Chair Salka?
Yes. Item E on the agenda. Can I have a motion on item E, SPU 679?
Or discussion?
I'm sorry?
Discussion first.
Discussion?
Do we have a?
Carport.
Yeah,
You can have discussion before a motion, sure.
I'm sorry?
You can have discussion before a motion, sure.
It's a business meeting, right?
Yeah, sure.
Discussion.
Okay.
Sure,
Okay.
good.
I would just
I like
simply
the
like to
motion.
point out that this is the second application, special permit we've seen on this subdivision that was an open space subdivision that we saw pre-construction now that they're trying to add more construction to. So I'm simply pointing that out. Last meeting, we approved one against my better judgment, but now here's another one, and there's multiple houses that we haven't seen yet. So I'm simply pointing out to the commission that these items were not part of the site plan which we approved. And it's coming at us again and again with additional special use permits. So I think you know where I'm going to come in on this. However, I just thought I'd bring that point to our attention.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, we just need to stipulate health approval on that one.
I'm sorry, say that again,
As
Dave?
part of a motion, we should stipulate health department approval.
Okay. Motion, please?
I guess I take issue with this one with Steve. I'd much prefer, if we're gonna have something, a garage, an attached garage, it's pre-construction, I got a two-car garage already on this thing. I don't have a carport anywhere near, so in keeping with the contours of the neighborhood, and per Steve, thoughts, site plan didn't have these on there. And this is outside the character of, the neighborhood, and I think has the potential to impact property values. Because it is not in keeping with other things. It is unusual, and I would, this one, I can get behind a lot of things. I can't get behind this one.
Okay.
I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are.
I would ask of the applicant,
No,
is he-
you can't. It's closed.
Business meeting.
all right, well. I can't ask the question.
Okay,
To the commission, my concern is if it is to enable other family members living at the residence, perhaps, taking care of elders, et cetera,
Yeah.
that's how I would evaluate the situation.
Clarify.
Then, but I echo Commissioner Walowski's concerns that this is the second and probably now we can expect more to come as this subdivision develops to, with every property, are we going to be approving special permits? So I'm torn.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I misspoke. Since it's the business meeting, you could ask a clarification question, because if they're represented by an architect, they'd be up here presenting, they could be presenting as well. So if you want to ask a clarification, I have no issue with it. Dave doesn't either.
okay.
Ask your clarification.
All right, so my question is this to house a vehicle, like, are you planning on having, is a single family gonna live in this residence, or is it, okay. Yeah,
No, we can't.
if you will.
Okay.
For the record, my name is Jake Carrier. I live at 301 Main Street in Bristol.
It's not the applicant. No.
Don't need it.
He can talk, he can't talk?
And what is the question again? Can you repeat?
I think,
The applicant's representative?
yeah, I think the applicant is,
Well, I'm
of
the
record,
owner.
should be doing the talking.
He's the owner.
Because once it's closed, it's,
Okay. So you're asking if a single family will be living here? Is that what?
Yeah, I'm trying to get more clarification on what the purpose, why you're asking for a carport versus
Additional garage space?
additional garage space and, what's the reasonable use of it?
So it was, if I may, this somewhat came up during the application process. that if they didn't pave beneath it, it could be considered a porch with a shed roof. But since they're paving underneath it, it's a carport to support a car. Just to clarify what was on the record for the use.
And one more thing to note, instead of, you're asked why we don't just add more garage space. We felt that that might make the garage look too heavy for the rest of the house. And we also set the carport back, so, and the way that you see it from the road, it's a little bit further back from that front corner of the garage, so it's not right up to that corner.
I agree with the idea, I'm just trying to understand the use, like, is it, it is single family that's gonna be occupying?
Yep,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
yep.
Okay. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve SPU 679 with the stipulation of Health Department approval.
Okay. We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dave, please call the roll.
Commissioner Tedesco,
No.
Commissioner Klock,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallowski,
No.
Commissioner Coviello,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
No.
Commissioner Santiago,
No.
and Acting Chair Salka.
No. Motion was denied, application was denied. Okay, that concludes the business portion. I'm sorry.
F.
Oop.
F. Yep.
Item F, SPU 680.
I'll make a motion to approve SPU 680.
Okay, second,
Second.
discussion?
So I guess the only thing I was always concerned with in the beginning was to make sure that, and I think the applicant did kind of speak to it, the exterior facades to match the building as best as possible. And I appreciate that cost is a factor when it comes to trying to match the log cabin, because logs don't grow on trees. Sorry, I had to say it. But, I think that if a fascia application could be done that would mimic that, I think I would feel a lot more comfortable with it. And again, I appreciate the cost factor of it, but it is something that we look at for the aesthetics piece of it. And that's what I can add.
I don't know if it's inappropriate to speak, so I just want to clarify. So T111 is proposed, it's typically vertical. What if he puts it horizontal? Then it would look like batten board, like logs. To clarify, yeah, if you're clarifying.
So I'm fine with working with the Texture 111, but when you run it horizontally, you're gonna have joints every 8 feet, and it's just gonna look,
Yeah.
I have a dark stain on the house, and the Texture 111 will absorb it and match identical. I still have gallons of stain left from, we just recently stained the house.
Right.
So from my driveway, when you look at it, they will look exactly the same. The only thing that will not match will be the actual logs that stick out and dissect on the end, but the color will be an identical match. The only thing that would separate that is just the actual, I think they're 4x6 intersections of the logs that literally stick out the end like that.
No, I hear you. Yep.
I mean, I could get you a price on what it'd be, but because I originally did it, because that's what I wanted to do, and I just kind of had to walk away from that. And then anything else would look like vinyl siding would definitely
No,
not.
and that wouldn't go to the intent of what even the conversation's
Yeah, that's why I
about.
thought the Texture 111 would, appease everyone.
Okay, anything, Steve?
I mean, price aside, I mean, what you're asking them to do is run paneling horizontally instead of vertically. It's just not appropriate.
Right.
You know?
Not what
It doesn't go to the whole way of how it operates.
I think I'm going to
right?
surprise you on this one, but
Jen?
yeah, the texture, I just think
I-
it's appropriate for a shed or a garage. I don't see trying to match a log cabin that precisely. I think we've
Jen, go
been a
ahead.
little bit lenient.
Yeah, I agree. I think the applicant has made great, has put a lot of thought into having it match, and I trust that it will match and will be in character. So if there, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, we have a motion, second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dave, please call the roll.
Commissioner Tedesco,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Orlowski,
Yes.
Wow.
Commissioner Coviello,
Yes.
Commissioner Coles,
Yes.
Commissioner Santiago.
Yes.
And Acting Chair Slonka.
Yes, approved 7-0.
Thank you guys very much.
Good luck. Good luck.
Okay, moving on to administrative items. We have one Central Connecticut Resource Recovery LLC site plan modification application to construct a 14,000 square foot roof structure adjacent to existing building over an existing paved area. Property located at 65 Triano Drive, Zone I2, SPR 1687.3. This is just for administrative approval.
Correct.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, and just agree that, to let staff handle this. It's the same level of review. They just don't have to present because it doesn't really rise to that level for us.
Do you want a voice vote, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, that's fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You got it, Dave. Okay. Second item, commission discussion on Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Alex, you're up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope everybody got the email that I sent out
Yep.
with the proposed language. And just for the public's edification, how this came about was the town commissioned an affordability plan, I believe in 2021, and gave us a list of dozens of things that the town could implement to make Sullyton a more affordable place to live. One of the things they suggested was to create an affordable housing trust fund. A lot of towns in Fairfield County are doing this. They're finding ways to siphon off certain fees, grants, and putting them there. It's almost like a lockbox. It's almost like, when the state budget gets a surplus, it has to go into this place that nobody can touch, and that's what the point of this is. It speaks for itself. It doesn't talk about how the town would possibly fund it, but it talks about what it will be used for, and it's a lot of discretion and this body will be the one really kind of pushing it, along with the town planner and the Economic Development Office. It was requested that if this is gonna be approved, it has to be approved at the town council level. It's an ordinance. So we don't need a formal vote, but if you want this to be routed up to the town council, we can do that. I need a consensus. If you say, we don't really like this, we don't have to send it there either. Either way, the town council wants your blessing before they entertain it, and then, Mr. Chairman, I'd welcome discussion on it at this time.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think if we remember, we all got the affordable housing study and we all gave our votes or whatever and total. And I always liked this one because I think I said at the time, too, for this one and a couple other ones, we're at the end of the process rather than the beginning. And a lot of times help is needed in affordable housing at the beginning of the process to get it going. And I always thought this was a very good idea to help with that aspect of it. And so I thought this was a very good idea that came out of the affordable housing study. I mean, we'll have more, but I think the chair, Hammersley, wanted to get something that, this body could agree on vote-wise, because we all had to give our vote. So I like this. I think it's a good way for Sullyton to say we're serious about it. And I wouldn't mind just having, I don't know if you need a motion or whatever, Alex, but, bringing it to the town council for their consideration. I think that's a wise thing to do, and I think it would be appropriate for us to say, hey, we took the affordable housing study seriously. This is, say, our first thing that we think could be actionable, and it's one of those items that is a town council thing, and I think the language that was drafted is I trust my legal beagle there is.
I appropriated it from several other towns and combined it, so it's not, I
However
can't
that-
take credit for
however
all.
that is.
However you did it.
I like when a lawyer does it first, and so I think it'd be good. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I think it's a very good idea and would help. I think a lot of times we get people who say, you know, it's not affordable for me to do affordable housing, I'm not gonna make any money, and this helps provide a stimulus. I think it's a great idea. We should, I would say we should advance it up to the town council.
Nick?
I would report favorably, opine favorably, however we would formally do it. Yeah, I'm in support of this, and was Control C and Control V involved in the drafting?
Very heavily.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think it's a great thing to support home ownership in our town, really give people a resource that, you know, not every municipality is offering, and we want to make Southington as welcoming and accessible as possible. So
Okay, Jen?
I am in favor.
Jen?
Yeah, I like the language, however it was, you know, created. I liked also it was very direct in who had control of the funds. There was no gray area there. I think any tool that we can put in our town's tool belt to help us with affordable housing, we should support, so I would be favorable as well.
Just one question, Alex. Oh, Caleb.
I don't want
I'm
to cut in
sorry.
line. If you want, you go first.
Okay, one question when I was reading it, in the term loans, I can understand where the money was coming from, but what do you envision when you say loans? What does that mean? I mean, I know what it means, but in this context.
So there's opportunities for the town to get grants and loans from the federal government, from the Department of Housing, as well as CHAFA, from the state of Connecticut. So if there were loans or things that came up, they could be siphoned into this account, so they couldn't be touched, and they'd
Okay.
be segregated. Sometimes there's programs that require the funds to be in like almost an escrow account, so this would qualify for that as well.
Okay.
If the town wanted to somehow get money from another entity.
Because
for
loans has a connotation, say you got to pay it back.
And you absolutely would. But this would be a place to park it if the town was going to be getting some low-interest subsidized loan from the states
Got
of the
it,
feds.
okay. Thank you. Caleb?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple questions on the revenue stream, if that was the direction that we were to go to, by tapping into building and zoning, permit, it would be like a permit application, kind of like the education fund where money is used from permit to pay for training for staff. Similar kind of a concept?
Yes,
Like
but
a percent?
this doesn't dictate where the money's going to come from, if it comes from it. It sets up the framework, and that would be up to the town council to put in place ways to get those fees. They
How
could-
the fee schedule would go, that
They
kind of
could
thing?
put
It
in
would be-
fees, they could move other fees that are already going to certain pots into this. They can add additional minor fees on certain issues that would all dump into this.
So the statute, there's enabling language that allows us to do that?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And then would these monies, I'll just ask the question because it made me think about it. Could these monies be used if the town needed to find outside counsel for an 830G application? Would these monies be used for that, or would these be specific to developing affordable housing as opposed to
Defending it?
defending against?
The language specifically doesn't say that, but the expenditure, so paragraph 11112-25 says expenditures. B, Bravo 1 talks about what the funds can be used for, and it's more or less developing and encouraging and not fighting. So I don't see how somebody could construe any of this language as to put up a defense for 830G.
Okay, just wanted to, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Great
put
question.
that out there in the universe.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all the work that you put into this.
Okay. Can we just say
I
that,
just need a consensus. There's no formal vote
Right.
necessary.
I like it.
okay, everybody for it? Okay, you
And
got
if
it.
somebody wants to present it, more than welcome to have a volunteer. I'm happy to go and present it, but if somebody from the board would like to, please come with me.
I'd go with you as you're familiar with the language, but if you need some support
Collaboration.
from another commission, or from our commission, then
I'll let
I'll
the-
go with you, however, the
When is
the
it,
language
when
is a
will,
little bit.
when would it be out?
When it gets, probably, it could be on the 12th next week, or it could be on 2 weeks from now. When it gets on the agenda, I'll let everybody know, and if everybody wants to come,
How's that? Do you think
Okay.
that'd be-
I'll send it around.
All right, Peter,
Yeah.
Peter will be our,
We'll-
will be your co-host.
You know, we'll see what day we got.
Okay. Next item on the agenda will be for any receipt of new applications. I guess we have two. Dave?
Yes, Mount Southington Limited Partnership, so that's a special permit. They want to add some land to it, to the site itself, to propose a ski rental facility in an existing house. That odd-looking house that's there had some type of wood shop or something in the
Yeah.
bottom of it, so they want to do limited repair of their vehicles, which, you know, we can talk about once it comes before you. So this does provide for them to do that, if you agree, since the ski areas are allowed by special permit in residential zones. So they would just be expanding it.
How big a piece of property is that, Dave? Do you know?
I think it's over an acre. It's pretty good chunk.
Well,
Yeah, and it's directly adjacent to town land and their own property, so there's a buffer behind it, so it
Okay.
seems to fit.
And the second item?
Yeah, the second item was that the Canal Street one? I don't have the updated agenda.
Mohawk
Mohawk.
North.
Yeah, Mohawk, so that one is a property that has an existing site plan, and then the Mohawk was just across the street, bought this property, and they want to store their vehicles and pipes, which they can, because it's an I-2, but they have to show it on a site plan, it has to get approved.
Okay. Anything else to come before the board? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?